So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to introduce your chairman for 2010, Jill Belconis.
How does a woman at the age of 33 become the president of a national mortgage company that originates over $2 billion annually?
Taking risks of the unknown and sort of surrendering myself to what the possibilities could be, it's opened up so much for me.
It doesn't hurt to get a job at a leading technology company right out of college.
And IBM came, and this was to get a job with IBM, and I get hired into what was called the data processing division at the time. Well, this is the huge computers. Now, what those computers do now is probably on your smartphone right now. But at that point, the bigger the computer, the more that it could do. So I was in the data processing division, but they had never hired a woman for the data processing division in sales. I had to dress in a blue pinstripe suit, a white shirt, and honest to God, this bow, it was like a bow tie. I had to dress, look like a man. It was expected of you. And so, here I am, this 21-year-old girl, I'm in the biggest division. They put me into sales, they put me through the training, and after 6 months, they put me as a lead on one of the biggest accounts. And I'm thinking, wow, that's unbelievable. Well, there's a story to that. Find out the head of the IT area is a guy that's been, I don't know how old he was, but I was 21 at the time. He seemed like he was, in his 80s or something. And he was mean, and he was verbally abusive, and it was horrible. And so they had just made an announcement of this new data system, and my manager and branch manager came to me and they said, we want you to sell 2 of those, and they need to take delivery by the end of the year. So I'm told what to do. I listen to my boss, and so I study really hard the machine, and I actually think this is right for the customer. I really believe that this is a great solution for them. Go in, sell them. He ends up signing the order. Its delivery is on December 31st. We were going to make branch quota because of this. We were going to get regional awards. I was going to get this great commission check. I was all excited. That afternoon, the head of IT called me up and said, get these effing machines off my dock. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'll never forget going there, and he was just he was crazy. He was crazy. Needless to say, he ended up accepting the delivery, but I will tell you that I felt real strongly that, it was the right thing for him, and I sold him based on the facts. What I really learned was, you've got to be strong, you've got to be self-confident, and you can't let people intimidate you. And, really, he was not a nice man. And you don't have to treat people like that. Whether it's personally or in business, you treat people right. And he really didn't. But you know what, you have to, I guess I have thick skin because of that, and you can't take it personally.
As a single mother of 3, she understands work-life balance.
I'll tell you, the kids, when you're with them, I really tried to truly be with my kids. And fortunately, I really like them, and I like being around them. Sometimes I didn't, and believe me, I wanted to, in fact, I've got stories about that.
When she was international chairman of the Young Presidents Organization, she was the first woman in its 60-year history to chair the board of this prestigious and exclusive group.
Well, I think what I found out that I can succeed like a man and I can lead like a woman. And I know that as a woman I have different traits than a man, and I'm not afraid to show them. And so you still need to be tough, but you don't have to be harsh. You don't have to be mean. And sometimes women in business get a reputation of being tough and mean and horrible. That's always been kind of a joke, and I think it's just the opposite. I don't think you need to be that way, but you still need to be decisive, and you still need to be strong, but you need to be yourself and give a reason why you're making decisions and do it exactly like a man does. And so I believe I kind of figured out that formula of what works. It doesn't have to be perfect. It only has to be better. And sometimes people think you have to make it perfect. You don't have to make it perfect. You only have to make it better. The folks down in Jordan, our members, did an incredible job putting on this university. And a very exciting, only in YPO venue, we were going to the palace of the king and queen. And so they had asked as the highest ranking official, which I found out was me, that I would do the introduction. And it's not as simple as just doing an introduction. It had to be written out, it had to be vetted. There were ways that you address the king and the court and everything else. So it took up a bunch of time during that afternoon, back and forth, and people having to check it and so forth. And he was late in arriving. And when he did come, he was so gracious, stopping and shaking hands and talking to people. And it was already late. And right as I was supposed to go up and speak, they told me to cut the speech in half. It was dark. It was cold. I didn't have a pen. I could barely see because there was no light. And I had about 30 seconds to cut the speech in half and be very careful I wasn't cutting out the parts that would offend anybody. So it ended up working out fine, and the king was right in front of me as I was speaking, and I didn't offend him because he smiled at the end, so I said thank you. You don't want to compensate on either side. You don't want to be extra tough because you feel like you have to show them, and you don't want to be soft because you don't want them to think that you're this tough. So it's kind of getting back to being your authentic self. Do what you feel is the right thing and make those decisions and earn the respect. I think the reason I enjoy talking to audiences is I love relating to the people, and I love looking out, and I feel like if I can give them something and they can walk out feeling better about themselves, and as I speak, if they can relate to it and think, wow, that happened to me, or I've been in that situation, or I might be in that situation, and it gives them some comfort level that maybe I know how to handle it next time, I feel like I've done my job.
If Solomon was a woman, her name would be Jill Belconis. Jill has a perfect sense of timing. She's very patient, and she will take time to weigh her decisions and weigh everybody's opinion, but she is decisive. When she makes a decision, it's a good and firm decision.
So I think women have some advantages, as long as they're not afraid to use them. And I think that women tend to be more sensitive, and men might say, well, that's bad, but I actually think in business, it is good to be sensitive and caring about employees and other people and situations. And that kind of comes back to being a good listener. And I think women are really good listeners, and that's such an important skill, whether it's in business or whatever situation.
Jill's bright, she's articulate, she's tenacious, she's got a very easy smile, and I have to say, Jill's got a lot of courage.
You know, don't make decisions that you think others think you should be making, but really make that evaluation. I act on instinct and intuition, and I think that that's a gift women have, and maybe men have it. I'm not a man, so I don't know, but I know that I use it a lot. I mean, I really do, and I go with my gut. And not that every decision I make is the right decision, but I will tell you, it's a great way, it's a great path to be on.